We have no idea what's in this glass of whiskey. Hopefully it doesn't suck. Let's find out.
Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Erin.
I'm Josh, and today we are tasting this completely blind glass of whiskey. That's all we know about it, but we're gonna let you know what we think about it and see if it's worth its price a little later on. Let's get right into it. Oh, okay. So I have immediate thoughts.
Tell me your thoughts.
I feel like this is something you'll like.
Okay, tell me. That's your immediate thought?
Because I think it's a rye.
You think it's a rye?
Immediately.
It smells like the outside.
It smells like a pine forest.
Pine? Oh, I'm not getting...
And some cedar too. A little pine cedar mixture.
Do we have any craft whiskey in this blind sample pool?
I'm sure we do. We got a ton of stuff. We can't keep up with all our stuff. That's the whole point.
It's
we want to be
smelling
confused.
a little grain forward to me.
I could kind of see you there, but I'm more getting the woodiness of it all.
Also, it might be my lip gloss.
It might be.
I didn't think about that. I just put lip gloss on that may be tainting this, so... Sorry.
Well,
I'm not going to take my lip gloss off.
I didn't. You can always trust me.
Okay.
Let's get into it.
Okay. Yep. I see your rye.
Yeah.
I like it. You're right.
Seems like a pretty solid rye. It could be craft. It's got a little bit of like a, I don't even know what I would call it. What would you call it? At least on first sip, it's like a little bit of a barn type of thing.
Yeah, and I got that more on the nose than I did on the palate. I got more of the pine you were talking about on the palate, whereas I didn't get that on the nose. So kind of like flip-flop for me.
Yeah. You can never trust that first sip. Let's get into the second sip.
Yeah, so that oak that I usually get on the second sip has kind of gone more grain barnyardy, which is something I typically get when I drink a craft whiskey. Not saying this is craft, but that's what it reminds me of.
I'm not getting that at all.
I'm getting it. But...
Really. I mean, the more I taste it now, the more I'm acclimating to it. It just seems kind of piney, cedary. It's got a little bit of like a spearmint, winter mint type of thing in the background.
I was going to say the after flavor is a minty flavor. I'm getting kind of like a cooling sensation in my mouth.
And honestly, it kind of tastes clean. I don't even know if that makes sense, but what I'm getting is like, it just reminds me of like a clean forest.
Like Pine Sol? That's a cleaning product.
No, that's way more intense than this. This is actually pretty subtle. I'm kind of reading it as a fairly easy sipper for a rye. It's not coming through with a lot of proof. It's not coming through with a lot of spice on the palate. There's
not spice, but I think some might interpret that mintiness as spiciness.
Yeah, like a little sharpness. Yeah, yeah, I can see what you mean there. Yeah. I mean, when we're tasting completely blind like this, it takes away all the labels and the hype and the bias. I do know that I tend to not like ryes as much as bourbons. So when I'm tasting something that tastes like a rye, even if it's not, I can kind of get some preconceived notions as to what I'm drinking. So I'm trying not to do that.
Yeah.
For what this is, which seems like a rye to me, it does seem kind of sweet. It has a little bit of sweetness in there that's kind of underneath everything. That's like a through line.
I can see that. It's not predominant, but you kind of are like, oh yeah, this is kind of sweet after you've already taken a sip of it. It doesn't hit you right up front, but you do notice it afterwards.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, we're here in the wintertime. This is the type of thing that, you know, if I were wanting to reach for a rye, I could see myself kind of going toward, I'm going to need another sip of it to get any kind of final assessment on it. But
okay, let's do it. So for me, the third sip kind of fell flat.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. On the third sip, I was focused more on the experience and I kind of let it linger. That part gets cut out for you guys, but it had a nice kind of finish on it for what seems like a lower proof pour.
I will say that the finish is nice. Where it fell flat for me was in the flavor. That third sip, I think.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
It was just not as flavorful as it was the first and second sip for whatever reason. Maybe I'm just getting more acclimated to the flavor. The finish was nice throughout. I think that it has a really nice finish. But for me, the flavor, I think I'm just going to give this a just okay.
Okay. I mean, it's not the type of thing that I would typically reach for. So just okay for us is kind of a take it or leave it. We could take it or we could leave it.
Yeah.
And most days I would leave this just because it's not my particular favorite flavor profile. But there are some days that I would take it. I think it tastes like about a pretty solid, you know, $40 to $50 lower proof rye. I mean, rye typically cost more money than bourbons do. So I'm kind of factoring that in. A beginner's bourbon, you know, or lower proof bourbon at this standard would be like $30-$40. I think this is probably in that $40 to $50 rye range. In our pool, this is number 70. We'll find out the price and see how far off I am.
It is $70.
Okay. I can see that. I don't think that's unreasonable. It's probably more than I want to pay, and I am going to stick at just okay. It's certainly not a value buy.
Yeah.
But it's not unfair.
I'm going to stick at just okay as well. It's not a horrible price. I don't think I would pay $70 for this specific bottle. I would pay $70 for a rye in general, just not this one.
Right.
But
for that, you can get higher proof ryes that we like.
It's not a hard pass. It is going to stay just okay.
Okay. What are we drinking?
We are drinking chicken cock rye.
Oh, okay.
And it is 90 proof. And this is thanks to Bill and Delia Kavanaugh.
There you go.
I will say, for 90 proof, this does drink with some proof. Like I would have guessed it was 100 proof personally. So
how much is it? What is it?
90 proof.
90 proof. Yeah, I thought 90. The rye was kind of making me think it might be mid 90s, but I was kind of in that 90 range. It's like I said, easy sipper. Generally speaking, I mean, truthfully speaking, knowing now what it is, probably is a $50 rye in a $20 bottle. Like the bottle's pretty. So if you want a nice looking bottle and a pretty easy sipping rye that's got some pretty decent flavor, if you like, you know, pine, cedar, spearmint, winter mint, those types of things. This isn't a bad one. You know, I said at the top, hopefully this doesn't suck, and it doesn't.
It doesn't suck.
I've had a lot worse, which is not the most ringing endorsement for this, but I'm not the biggest rye guy, so there you go.
Fair.
All right. If you like this channel, you like what we're doing, go ahead and subscribe. This is what we do over here, these blind tastings. And it's 2024. We're kicking our shoes off. One time I said we're kicking our feet off. We're kicking our shoes off.
Oh, should I kick my slippers off?
We're getting a little bit more laid back on the channel this year.
Josh is getting more laid back. I'm staying the same.
Yeah. So you'll see that. If you like that, down there in the video description below, you can find links to our Patreon where you can get involved in our awesome online community over on Discord, get our barrel picks, bonus content, extra live streams, all kinds of stuff. And yeah, we got some apparel down there at stuffandwhiskey.com.
That's it.
I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's it for today. Be good to each other, y'all. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers.